like to introduce something that was just organized in the last year. It's been a thought for many, many years, but it didn't come to life until recently. I would like to introduce the All Melrose City Band. These are former students from Melrose, people that live in Melrose that have formed a band, a summer band, in which they have gotten together and practiced. And for this afternoon's entertainment, they are going to perform for us this afternoon. I'd like to read off a list of some of the players in the band, and if they would just, as I read off their names, please stand up and be recognized. We have on the trumpets Joe Timmons, Nora Botman, Jody Elise, Mary Ann Noner, Mark Schwieters, Bob Doyle, Santina Lovelace. On the saxophone, Mark Meyer, Bill Klimke, Mike Natey, Melody Neatville, Deb Wells, Don Meyer. On the clarinet, Bill Meyer, Roger Klopecki, Dan Boltus, Jim Ottman, Dave Humbert, Mary Jane Blonigan, Diane Gruber. On the oboe, Mary Ann Mittendorf. On the bassoon, Sandy Meyer. On the flute, Kathy Melling, Karen Thostenson, Karen Crocker, Mary Williams. On the French horn, Mary Ann Schulzenberg, Katie Meyer. On the trombone, Roger Van Heel, who's our director today, Joyce Henn. On the baritone, Wendell Asmus, Pete Gruber. On the tuba, Ron Grove. On the drums, Larry Thompson, Deb Klopecki, and Joanne Tiemann. Let's give them a round of applause here. For the first song this afternoon, Roger would like to play Legionnaires on Parade. People sounded marvelous. Roger, beautiful. Let's give him another hand. Legionnaires on Parade. I'd like to let you know right now that when I introduced myself, I said that we had 13 different states represented, and that represents 103 different people. Some of the states that we had represented were Arizona, California, Colorado, Delaware, Florida, Illinois, Iowa, Louisiana, Maryland, Montana, North Dakota, Ohio, Oregon, South Dakota, Washington, and Wisconsin. People from Melrose, let's give these people a round. In our midst from last night and of course today, we also had 22 former teachers, lay teachers, and alumni that have helped celebrate with us this weekend. And I'd like to read off their names if I could. Sister Claire Shadegg, Sister DeBrito Shadegg, Sister Yoletta Kapinski, Sister Giles Reller, Sister Jocelyn Dubé, Sister Josiah Robinson, Sister Joseph Marie Hartung. Let me dwell on Sister Joseph Marie. Last night at the program, we talked a little bit about Sister Selza and the many years that she taught, which numbered 60 years. But one thing that we have amongst our midst is Sister Joseph Marie. Sister Joseph Marie, would you please stand? I believe little does anybody know Sister Joseph Marie is celebrating her 61st anniversary of being a Benedictine sister. Congratulations, sister. Sister Lorraine Klein, Sister Lynette Primus, Sister Hyacinth, which is now Sister Marlene Schwinghammer, Sister Mary Mendrach, and she was noted as Sister Juliet. Some of the alumni sisters that we have present: Sister Colette Primus, Sister Janinica Stathair, Sister Jeanette Kunkel, Sister Mary Regis Gardner, Sister Viola Irene Schlick. Would all the sisters please stand and be recognized? Some of the priests that were in attendance last night with that beautiful ceremony and program that we had last night: Father Tim Boltis, Father Ed Kramer, Father Ray Klein, Father Ray Lang, Father Ed Ramacher, Father Claude Schwinghammer, Father Vincent Weiserman, Father Art Hoppy, and Father Tom Meyer. Father Art Hoppy and Father Tom Meyer are also alumnus. So please, if we have any priests in attendance, would you please stand and be recognized? Apparently they will join us a little bit later then. We'd like to have the band play another song if we can. Roger? The second one that the city band will play is Autumn Leaves. past history and heritage that we have. I, being a graduate in the later 60s, probably have known for the younger generation that we have here. And I guess at this point in time, I'd like to just mention some of the sisters that we have at that time, and if they ring a bell, just to contemplate on them a little bit. Sister Williams, Sister Giles, Sister Juanita, Sister Clarissa, Sister Pauline. I'd like to stop a little bit on Sister Pauline. She was my second grade teacher. And about halfway through the year, we had a program of what was called Show and Tell. Well, the evening before, my father just showed me a brand new card game, and it was called Crazy 8. And I thought, wouldn't this be wonderful if I could bring this to school and show the rest of my classmates? So the next morning I did just that. I brought my deck of cards. And Show and Tell was always at the end of the day before we left for school. But about 1 o'clock we had a period for reading. Well, I got a little antsy, and my buddy Ronnie Damsel, which was sitting next to me, we went back to the library, which was situated in the back corner of the room. And I proceeded to pull out this deck of cards and convince them that rather than learning something out of the book, I got something better to show you. We got through about half of our game of Crazy 8 with Sister Pauline lets out this beller and says, "Ernie and Ronnie, what are you doing?" We were stunned and petrified because it never occurred to us that we'd even get caught. Anyways, we stopped with our mouths open and our eyes open, and Sister proceeded to chew us out for about 10-15 minutes. And all the while she was doing this, I did not understand why she was doing this. Why didn't she see the light as to why I was trying to show this young fellow a game of cards? Well, when I met up with Sister Pauline's Board of Education, it wasn't Sister who saw the light, it was Ernie Kachimba who saw the light. Sister Olive, Sister Gervais, Sister Teresita, Sister Ione, Sister Hyacinth, Sister Zelda, Sister Jocille, Sister Linda. These are all sisters that had a remarkable impact on our lives. The word that can only describe those people are dedication. They gave up a lot to be sisters. They gave a lot for our education. They gave a lot to our discipline. They gave a whole new meaning to discipline. But when the class sizes were 40 and 50, discipline was a very necessary part of our education too. So there again, if you recognize any of these people, and if you see them here today, stop and say hello to them. They were a very important factor in our young people's lives, and they will continue to be. Mr. Giles asked Vern to plant some flowers close to the convent. Well, Vern proceeded to follow the wishes of Sister Giles. The only thing is, when the seeds started to grow, tomatoes came up instead of flowers. So Vern, today on behalf of Sister Giles and the Sisters of St. Mary's, we want to remember you with some tomatoes.
Thank you very much. That story doesn't quite ring true. I'm getting blamed for something that I really didn't have a lot of control over. The tomato deal is something that Mr. Doyle decided he had a few extra tomato plants left over, and he put in there, and Sister Giles went back to the school one summer, I think it was during late summer, and she sees these tomato plants in there, and she said, "Whatever happened to that planter?" She said, "Vern always kept that planter looking much better than that." She was kind of approved of Mr. Doyle's tomato plants in there. But over the years, occasionally I had written something like that in for little snacks down in the lunchroom to spice up the hot lunch for the other janitors and a few of the teachers and myself. 25 years I spent at St. Mary's. Very rewarding experience for me. Some of the teachers here, one in particular that only was there for 1 year, know she's about ready to crawl under the bench, but every time I see her, I throw her a kiss. Jean Howard. There are many tales I could tell about all of these people that I worked with over the years. And Sister Lorraine, I want to thank you for bringing this gift from Sister Giles. And I won't tell any tales out of school about you either. But we did have our share of pranks that went on. And I want to thank all the parishioners of St. Mary's for the wonderful years they had there. Thank you.
Thank you, Vern. You did really a marvelous job through the years, and you really will be missed for St. Mary's. Along with Julius Adi, I would have to say that Vern is one of the legends around here, too, and you did really a marvelous job, and we really appreciate it. Thank you. Roger, another song. I got Roger stuttering over here a little bit. Roger will join us with the third song, If I Were a Rich Man.
Should I move out of your way? But I didn't know that.
Roger is now going to grace us with All Glorious Land March. Thank you, Rod. Wonderful, wonderful. For you people that are just gotten together for this year, you're doing really a remarkable job. At this time, I would like to take the opportunity to talk about some of the people that really have shaped our early part of our history in our parish here, and as far as our schools go too. Certainly our first St. Pat's pastor, which was Father Killian. Our second our pastor for St. Boniface, our first pastor, which was Monsignor Richter. And certainly our first pastor of St. Mary's, Father Julich. For those of you that were not here last night, Father Julich had the dubious task of trying to combine both St. Pat's and St. Boniface into one parish. Father Julich at the time was the pastor at St. Pat's, and of course he went to the bishop to get some money to build a new St. Patrick's church. Not only was he denied the money to build it, but he was told to tear down the St. Patrick's church and combine it all into one parish. At that time, I'm sure feelings were high, but being a youngster and being here since the 50s and now in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, our parish has since forgotten, and St. Mary's is alive and well and doing very well. We believe that the merger was done out of necessity, and that the people, through their own concerns and welfare of the youth, have merged and have forgotten their bitterness, and they've done a really remarkable job. It's hats off to you people since that merger was formed. One of the notable people also in our history at that particular point in time was a sister named Sister Selza. I, being a youngster of the new generation, do not remember Sister Selza, but I have some facts and figures that I picked out of newspaper clips and out of the information that Evelyn Hessian has put forth. One of the remarkable feats of Sister Selza is that she was a teacher for 60 years. 58 of those years, she was a first grade teacher, and a first grade teacher in the same classroom.
She wouldn't have had her name down. I don't think I learned it.
Now we talk about class size. It's one of the important issues in today's schools is the class size. We have to be effective, and in order for us to be effective, we have to have smaller class sizes. Sister taught to students that are classes that range from 42 all the way up to 72. Can you imagine today's teachers teaching 72 people in one class? I think that'd be quite a remarkable feat. However, she did do that. In that time of 60 years, Sisters saw 5 popes go through, 4 diocesan bishops, 9 presidents, 2 world wars, and a depression. Certainly, Sister had the credentials to teach history. And when we look back on those 60 years, and we look back on Sister Joseph Marie's 61 years, dedication, those people had it. Roger, are we ready with the Spirit of 76? We go back in history again. Certainly our records indicate we have records back to 1910. In 1911, our first grade, the two classes that were in first grade, had 60 youngsters in each class. By 1915 and 1916 class, our enrollment at St. Mary's had swelled to 465. In 1916 and from 1932 to 35, each grade from 1 through 8 had two classes. And in each class, there was over 50 students in each class. Now, like at this time, if you people have been following the Beacon, I'd like to recognize a person that has been writing a series of articles on St. Mary's in our parish. Is Evelyn Hessian in attendance today? Evelyn, would you please stand if you are here today? I do not see Evelyn right now, but let me tell you, Evelyn has done a remarkable job, and she is quite a historian. The facts and figures that she has pulled out is truly remarkable. I spent last Thursday just looking at the pictures and some of the information, and before I knew it, 3.5 hours had passed by. And it was just incredible to look at the classes of 1940 and 1950 and some of the people that do live in Melrose, how they looked back then as to what they look back as what they look today. And I've chuckled many, many times, but let me tell you, it was really quite a treat for all the information that was put together for that. Roger, are you ready for the next song? my speakings with Evelyn Hessian, one of the things that I found quite intriguing was some of the incentives that the schools use to get good grades. And one of the things that they used in order to get good grades is when Father would come on down and hand out report cards, if you got good grades, you got holy cards for those grades. I don't know how many of you remember that as an incentive. And part of their status of how good a student you were or how good standings you were with the parishes was measured probably by the amount of holy cards that you received at that particular point in time. Can you imagine our youngsters today if they used holy cards as their status figure instead of clothes and everything else? One of the things that we've talked about, and of course that's been history, in 1934, St. Pat's joined St. Boniface School. In 1958, St. Pat's joined St. Boniface Parish. And then in 1964, of course, our present St. Mary's building was built. And that is presently what we're using today. But amongst the cosmetic changes, it was also quite a time as far as the church goes. Vatican II was in procession at that particular point in time. We changed from Latin to the English version of the Mass. Father turned around and faced the people. In the mid-60s, we changed the altar from the front of the church to the middle of the church. We took the choir down from the choir loft and moved them up to the sacristy. And then a number of years later, we changed the altar back up to the front of the church, moved the choir back up to the choir, and again turned Father around so that he could face the people. Many, many changes at that particular time that we had gone through. When I was a youngster and first learning to be an altar boy, I believe we had to be in the 5th grade at that particular time, and of course one of the requirements was that we had to learn Latin in order to pray along with Father. And of course, I being of Polish descent, Latin and we didn't agree very well, and I didn't say it very well, so we just mumbled along with Father. And we got to the offertory at that particular point in time, and it was my very first Mass that I served with Father Julik, and my co-altar boy was Tim Petermeyer at that particular time, who was also from this parish. And we got done pouring the wine and washing Father's hands, and of course we went back, and on my way back I tripped over the bell that we used at the consecration time, and the bell went sailing across all the way to the communion rail and made really quite a racket. And of course, that being my first time, I was just petrified, laying on the floor, really not knowing what I should do next. There was total silence like I never heard it before in the church. And thank God for Father Julik. He walked down to me and he says, "Ernie, relax. The next time you ring that bell, we'll be in 5 minutes at consecration time." At that, I proceeded to get up, pick up the bell, and thinking so hard when Father brought the host up for consecration and the wine up, I was still thinking about the ringing the bell. I completely forgot about the bell. Father then turned back to me, and of course, I realizing that I had missed it, just kept ringing the bell, ringing the bell, ringing the bell. It was a lesson in humility, but let me say at the same time, I think when we reminisce this weekend, there were many, many things that happened to all of you at St. Mary's. And whether they be good or bad, they all build character. And those are memories that I'll never ever forget. And I believe the memories that you will share today with the other people, certainly you will not forget at this particular time too. At this time, I'd also like to announce in the Lion Shelter that they are selling food and pop, beer. You're welcome to get up at any time and to serve yourself. Lunch is prepared by Catholic Aid Society. You're welcome to join them, and please do. Roger, shall we continue? The next song is March for a Festival. Thank you, Raj. As we continued on in the mid-60s and early 70s, some of the vocations had started to drop off already by at that time, and some of the local people played a very intricate and important part in the youngsters' lives. And I think they too ought to be recognized today. These people were very instrumental in shaping our lives, teaching a good religious background, and they came into a situation where the sisters had dominated for many years with their wonderful teachings. We'd like at this time, and if these people are here, if they would please stand to be recognized. Wilma M. Dick. Is Wilma here today? There's Wilma off here by the river over here. Please give her a hand. Is Eleanor Kirkenwoods here today? Eleanor, are you here today? Carmela Worms. Carmela, are you here today? Is Dorothy T. Schaefer here today? Dorothy was here last night and she's doing very wonderfully well. She lost her husband here just before Christmas and she now lives in Long Prairie. I'm a former student of Dorothy T. Schaefer's, and let me tell you, I truly believe she was really one of the most wonderful people I had ever gotten to know, and certainly it was a privilege for me to be a student of hers. Is Jean Provenzino here today? Jean was here also last night. Those are some of the retired teachers that we have. We also have in our midst today, is Peggy Rural Faber here today? Peggy, are you here today? Jeannie Primus. Jeannie, would you please stand? Laverne's gonna blow you kisses all day today, Jeannie. Mary Sullivan Reeland. Mary, are you here today? Would you please stand and be recognized? I know Mary's around here. I saw Red and Mike and the rest of the Reeland tribe. But these people too, played a very important lives as vocations started to dwindle. They picked up the ball and they did it very, very well. We salute you, and it is an honor for all of us to let's please recognize these people with a round of applause. At this time, Roger's going to hit us with Jericho. The Melrose City Band. They're doing a very wonderful job today. We'd like to ask people, many of you, if you've come down and you haven't registered, we'd like for you to register. And you can register in the Lion Shelter where they are selling the raffle tickets for the quilt over there. Please, if you haven't registered yesterday and if you're new today, please register in the Lion Shelter where they're selling the raffle tickets. I've seen Evelyn has walked in. Evelyn Hessian, are you here today? Evelyn, please stand. Let's give Evelyn a round of applause. Evelyn is the person that wrote the series of articles, has done a lot of the major work as far as history goes, and she did a wonderful, wonderful job. Thank you, Evelyn. At this time, I'd also like to recognize some more lay people. We've recognized, of course, Vern Enneking when he was here, but some other notable people that have put a lot of time and dedication into our parish. Is Vi Burns here today? Vi, would you please stand? Vi is located over here by the river. Vi has played the organ and has taken care of the music for many, many years. And believe me, without Vi taking care of some of that things, without being told, our parish would truly be at a loss. Again, many, many thanks, Vi. You did a wonderful, wonderful job and continue to do so. Some of the people that were recognized last night. Herman Koopmeiners, who has passed away, did many, many years of service as a janitor at our school. And of course, one that's probably a legacy in our area is Julius Oddie. Julius passed away a few years ago, and I, as a student, really didn't get a chance to talk to Julius all that often. But when I did, he always had an ear to listen. And one thing I must say about Julius, whenever you asked him a question, he gave you a very straightforward answer. Julius was not one to beat around the bush. He was a very kind man, and he told you exactly what he thought. And he certainly had enough pep for all of us for about 2 lifetimes. But Julius will always be remembered. And one thing about Julius that makes him an outstanding man is he was always consistent. His faith never wavered, and neither did his dedication towards the parish or towards his family. Like I say, I did not know Julius that well, but it was something that stuck out, and for his family to be honored with a father of his stature, again, he'll be remembered for many, many years. When I talk about consistency, Julius was a role model, but certainly some of our families were role models, and over the past year they've built a lot of heritage. I'd like to just mention a few of the names that have done so in the past. The Beckers and the Beckermans, the Ennikings and the Hellermans, the Hollermans and the Hinnenkamps, the Hiltners and the Imdicks, Johnsons and the Kempers, Kloppakis and the Clausens, Lakens and the Myers, Mittendorfs and the Petermeyers, Pullmans and the Primuses, Rademachers and the Revermans, Ritters and the Schneiders, Scholzenbergs and the Schenekers, Tiemans and the Thielens, Vogels and the Webers, Welly and the Wessels, Westerhouses, the Zenzens and the Zervises. These are only a sample of the people that have lived here for many, many years. They have built a heritage and a reputation that is probably second to none in Stearns County, and is, for that matter, around the state and the nation. As part of being the younger generation, your generation has passed this valuable heritage and deep faith. And out of that heritage, the spirit has grown and developed. And it is still here and seen today in our own local schools. As our fathers, you've provided us with heritage and spirit and memories, and it is now our responsibility to do the same. So that when the next generation and the next school reunion comes by, whether it be 15 years from now or 20 years from now, it truly will be an honor for our kids to come up and say, Mom and Dad, thank you for the heritage. Thank you for the memories. We truly do appreciate it. At this point in time, Roger would like to play a couple songs, and then we'll be joining our former pastor, and then our pastor right now, Father Ralph Zimmerman. So Roger, if you would like to continue with Military Escort. Melrose All-City Band. This program and last night's agenda started with a thought from our former pastor, Father Kiefer. I don't know if Father Kiefer is here today. Father, are you here today? But it started as a thought, and part of Father's group at that time was a committee member, and her name was Elsie Hellerman. Elsie Hellerman was at that particular time, anybody had ever given a thought to an all-school reunion joining St. Pat's, St. Boniface, and of course St. Mary's. And the committee thought, well, gee, that'd be really a great idea. And of course, Elsie was then nominated the chairperson of that. Elsie has put a tremendous amount of time, and her committee has also put in a tremendous amount of time. The countless hours of trying to locate people, to send invitations out to people all over the United States, putting everything on computer. Bob Doyle was part of that group. At this particular time, Elsie, would you please come up to the mic and be recognized? Elsie, are you here? Elsie will join us just a little bit, but some of the other committee members are Catherine Primus, Joyce Winter, Jeanette Thielen, Sister Joseph Marie, Bob Doyle, Don Stahlberger, Judy Klimke, Martha Weber, Alma Herges, Irma Waltz, Virginia Klopacki, Mary Jane Schneider, Myrtle Zink. Again, a lot of tireless time and a lot of effort was put into this celebration. Please, let's give them all a round of applause. Before I turn the mic over, Roger would like to have one last song, and it's called Tiger Rag.
The young man here. How you doing? Pretty good. How you doing? The Melrose All-City Band, you were wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's give Roger Van Heel a hint. He was cast in the directorship today without his knowing. Thank you, Rod. We'd also at this time like to recognize a person that probably pioneered the band. Fran Herzog, are you still here? Fran? There we go, Fran. Fran was very instrumental in the historical style and also getting this band together. You've done a wonderful job, Fran. At this point in time, I have our chairperson here of our banquet today, Elsie Hellerman. Many, many thanks go out to Elsie. You've done just one tremendous job. Elsie?
Well, thank you all, and I'd like to thank the committee that helped me get to make this a success. I myself couldn't have gone very far. We found that out when we started out with 3 of the parish members to try and get the union together. We worked 2 afternoons, and we've had such little bit work done that we knew we had to have more. The next time we come, we each brought an extra one along to help us, and it went a little faster. And as we went, another one come along, and another one, and finally we got it all together. And I will read the names that were on our committee. Catherine Primus, Joyce Winter, Jeanette Thielen, Sister Joseph Marie, Rob Dole, Ernie Kachima was just on, and Don Stahlberger, Judy Klimke, Martha Weber was one of the first ones, and so was Catherine Primus and myself. And Alma Herges, Irma Walsh, Virginia Klapaki, Mary Jane Schneider, and Myrtle Zink. Those were the ones that helped us put this all together. And I'd like to thank you very much for helping and sticking by and getting everything together.
Thank you, Elsie. A big round of applause for Elsie, please. Before I introduce this next character, there's a little story behind this fella. And before he came to us from Becker, Minnesota, the story goes is that Father wanted to become a monk. And of course, the monks, they live in a cloistered atmosphere and they cannot say nothing. Their devotion is strictly to prayer. And so part of their guidelines was that for Father Ralph to become a monk, he had to choose if he would like to become a part of this order and follow the guidelines, and Father said, sure, why not? I'll give it a try. So Father Ralph joined the monks, and for the first 5 years devoted his life to prayer. And Father Joe, the head monk, comes up after his 5-year review. And of course, at that 5-year review, the monks are allowed to say 2 words. So when Father Joe came up to Father Ralph and said, Father, what would you like to say? Father said, hard bit. Father Joe thought that was really odd, but hard bit it was. So another 5 years had come and gone, and Father again was very dedicated to prayer, never said a word. And again, his 5-year review had come up. And Father Joe walks up to Father Ralph and says, Father, you have 2 words. What would you like to say? And Father Ralph says, lumpy oatmeal. Again, Father Joe was taken back a little bit, but those are your 2 words, that's fine. Well, another 5 years has passed, and Father again dedicated to the guidelines, prays, his vow of silence is continued. And of course, at the end of those 5 years, Father Joe comes up to Father Ralph, and Father Ralph, you have 2 words to say. And Father Ralph says, I quit. And Father Joe says, well, I was wondering when you were. After these last 15 years, all you've been doing is complaining, complaining, complaining. Father Ralph, would you please come on up to the microphone, please? Is Father Ralph here? Father Ralph, are you still here yet?
You held up the other end.
Here comes our faithful leader.
I haven't seen any of our family.
I gotta behave.
Come on up, Father. Believe me, since Father has joined us, he has not stopped talking. Father?
Thank you. I have not stopped talking, as many of you well know. In fact, I was over in the shelter, and someone said, "They watch." Thanks. Again, just a very brief word of welcome to all of you, especially those of you who joined us just today. Many of you, as last evening, our activities were wonderful gatherings, and today as well. We've got some beautiful weather, thanks to the sisters who've been praying for us. And there's one sister who came this morning who I'd like to recognize especially, Sister Patricia Wallace, principal at St. Mary's for how many years? 6 years. Sister Patricia, would you stand please and be recognized? Sister Patricia Wallace.
I was over there the other day and he's still working on that same thing he was for years ago.
Thank you so much. What's next? Talk on. Ernie gave me 30 seconds, so that's all I can say. Thanks again for being here. Please enjoy the day. There are still displays back over at school at St. Mary's, and if anything that we can do, please let us know. I just got an order for some T-shirts. If I can find Mr. Doyle, we'll try to get them made for us. Enjoy your time. It's been good for me just to call Melrose home for the last 11 months now. Many of you have come home. Many of you are home. It's good for all of us to be here. Thanks again very much. Enjoy this beautiful day. God is good. Thanks.
Thank you, Father. Let's give Father Zimmerman a hand. He has a tremendous responsibility as our parish grows and vocations are declining. It puts more and more pressure on our vocational directors. And Father, you truly, and sisters, you've truly done a wonderful job. Thank you. At this time, we like to recognize the people that have traveled the furthest. We did this last night, but for some of the new people that may have joined us this year, to make a very short brief, there again, is there anybody here from Alaska? Anybody here from Hawaii? Anybody here from California? Certainly. Carm, could we ask you where those people are from? What part of California? From LA? San Francisco? Great. There's 5 Kuman girls from one family coming up from California. We had a great response from California this year. I believe we had like 30 or 35 people come up from California just for this reunion alone. How about these people over here? You're from San Francisco? Sacramento. Santa Barbara. Jack and Lois? From Santa Barbara. Let me ask you a question, Jack. Is Santa Barbara farther than Sacramento? It is. Okay. Jack and Lois, would you come on up? Over here. We have a couple coming up. San Jose and Santa Clara. Is that farther than Santa Barbara?
Oh, Donnie. How are you there, stranger? Haven't seen you for so long.
Certainly. Jack, could you come on up? Bob, we have prizes for you.
River Park. He's going to buy a new one.
Bob, would you introduce yourself and your wife, please? Okay. Bob Bestie is from Santa Jose. Jack and Lois. Lois, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Lois Fink.
Lois Fink. I don't know if many people know Matt Fink and Jean Fink. Lois is the daughter of Matt and Jean. And Jack? Jack Goldsworthy. That's her husband. Welcome to Minnesota. We have prizes for you. Irma Hinnecamp. This is Irma Hinnecamp from Santa Clara. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you to all who joined us from outstate.
Is she married?
Now we have a prize for the eldest people. Do we have anybody here that's an alumnus of Melrose or St. Mary's that's 95 or older?
We don't qualify. We don't qualify.
Please do.
I'll pass on that one. There are days though.
When you feel that old.
There are days. Today's just not one of them.
They ain't going to finish down at that age. What the hell difference?
Nora, how are you today? Nora, how old are you?
95, they tell me.
Nora tells me, they tell her she's 95. Nora, your maiden name was Sanders? Welcome. It's just really a tribute to have you here today. To be alive and well at 95, I can only wish. You are a wonderful, wonderful person. I own the IGA store here at Melrose, and Nora for years and years and years was my neighbor just a half a block down the road. So it is a privilege and an honor to have Nora here today. Thank you, Nora. I have a little present for you here, Nora. Let's give Nora a hand, please. For those of you that didn't know, Nora was amongst the first class that was at St. Boniface Church. She's one of the very first class members of that class. So it isn't very honored and privileged to have you again, Nora. Thank you for coming. Is John and Eleanor Meyer here today? They have left? Okay. John Meyer, too, is 95 years old, and he, too, along with Nora, was one of the very first classmates of that very first class. And so it is a privilege, and we'll honor. Is Bill Meyer here? Bill or Mark, are you here? Please, would you come on up and accept this gift on behalf of your father? There you go. You're welcome. Let's give John and Eleanor a hand, please, too. They were here earlier. It's been a privilege to meet a lot of you people. A lot of you I do not know and wish to meet you. But on behalf of Melrose and St. Mary's and all the people that have supported us through the years, we thank you one and all for coming. The concession stands are open at this point in time. Raffle tickets will be sold, and we will be joined in entertainment by the Clown German Band. Again, many, many thanks. You've traveled a long way, and for a youngster, which graduated in 1968, the heritage lives on, and the spirit that has grown out of that heritage will always live on for our youth. Again, many, many thanks, and thank you for coming.